وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So we have pretty much come to the end of the second hadith, and at the end Umar radiallahu anhu explains how the incident concluded, and he says ثُمَّ انطَلَقَ فَلَبِثْتُ مَلِيًّا. After that he left. The man who had come with the clean clothes, the white clothes and the dark hair, and he was asking these questions, O Muhammad, where is what is Islam? O Muhammad, what is Iman? O Muhammad, what is Al-Ihsan? And so on and so forth. He finished with the questions and then he left. He says ثُمَّ انطَلَقَ فَلَبِثْتُ مَلِيًّا. And after he left, I stayed for a while, or we waited for some time. And in some narrations, in some versions of the hadith, it mentions فَلَبِثْتُ ثَلَاثًا, that I stayed for 3, meaning 3 days. Meaning 3 days, they didn't know who that man was. They didn't know what had just happened. Who was that person who was asking the questions? ثم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عمر أتدري من السائل. And then he said, the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم said to him, O Umar, do you know who was the questioner? أتدري من السائل؟ قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. He says that Allah and His Messenger know best. And this statement, we would say it in the lifetime of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he would be present, and regarding the things related to the wahy of Allah Azza wa Jal. But after he has passed away, we say Allahu A'lam. We say Allahu A'lam. But during his lifetime, we would say Allahu wa Rasuluhu A'lam. So then after that, he said, قال فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. So then he said that this was Jibreel, and indeed he came to teach you your deen. And so from this statement, subhanAllah, we understand that this hadith, it contains the deen. It contains the summary of the whole deen, which is Islam, Iman, Ihsan, the hereafter, and so on and so forth, the different topics which are covered in the hadith. But the fact that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this statement shows that this hadith is a very important hadith for a Muslim and for every Muslim to study and for every Muslim to understand. Now, just to conclude, inshallah, we have previously mentioned the narrator, Umar radiallahu anhu. In the first hadith, it was the same narrator, and we mentioned some of his virtues. And we'd just like to mention one of the other incidents which Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he narrates, wherein he says that in one of the incidents, there was a man from the human beings who was wrestling a man from the jinn. And the man from the human beings, he tackled the man from the jinn. So then the man from the jinn, he said to him that, come back the next day. He wanted to come back the next day and beat him and tackle him down. So then he came the next day, and he said, and then they wrestled again, and the human being, he took down the jinn. And it was one of the Sahaba. And then, subhanAllah, he told him, the human being told him, that I see that you are weak. I see that all of you are weak. And so the jinni, the man from the jinn, he told him that I'm not one of the weak ones. I'm from the strong ones from the jinn. Okay? And then he told him, okay, he promised him again that he will wrestle him a third day. And if he overtakes him, if he tackles him down the third time, the human being, then the jinni, the man from the jinn, he will teach him something useful. So then the third day came again, and again he tackled him down. So as he promised, he told him that whoever recites Ayatul Kursi in his home, then no jinn or no shaitan will be able to come close to his home. And so after that, subhanAllah, one of the narrators, he asks Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who narrates the hadith, he says to him, من ذاك الرجل من أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Who was that man from the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم? So then Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, من يكون هو إلا عمر. He says, who would it be except for Umar? Who would it be except for Umar radiyallahu anhu. This hadith is narrated by Al-Tabarani in his Mu'jam. So it shows, subhanAllah, another one of the virtues of this great man, and how he was strong in his deen such that even the shayateen could not overtake him. Even the shayateen, no physically, no spiritually. Because the spiritual gave him also physical strength. Also gave him physical strength. So this is another one of the virtues that we can mention of this man. This hadith is narrated by Imam Muslim, rahmatullahi alayh, and we all know Imam Muslim is one of the narrators of or compilers of a book called, and the second Sahih, which has gained widespread acceptance in the Ummah. And Imam Muslim, rahmatullahi alayhi, he had many teachers, and he was very well known in a place called Naysabur. And Imam Muslim, rahmatullahi alayhi, he was widely traveled, and he was someone who he collected hadith from a lot of different places. Every now and then he would travel here and there to collect collections of ahadith. And subhanAllah, one of the things which show the status and the connection between Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh and one of his teachers, Al-Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh. We'll just end with this particular story, inshallah, wherein one of the teachers of Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh, he was in the majlis, and Imam Muslim was one of the students, and Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh, his teacher was also Al-Imam al-Bukhari, and his most, you could say, his closest teacher, and the one that he benefited from the most, the one he praised and had respect for the most. So subhanallah, one of the times there was a fitna which occurred, wherein Al-Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh, who was accused of certain things, and this accusation reached this teacher of Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh. So in this incident, he says to his students, whoever is from the students or the ones who sit with Al-Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh, let him stand up and leave the majlis. So Al-Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh, in front of everybody, he stood up and he left the majlis. And when he left the majlis, he went to his home and he collected all the ahadith that he had collected from this particular person. And this particular alim, he was more well known than Bukhari in that place at the time. So he was considered a alim and he was considered a knowledgeable person. But subhanallah, because of the things which had spread about Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh, many of them were secluding Imam al-Bukhari. So he left, he collected all the ahadith that he had collected from this person, and he returned it back to him, and he said he doesn't want it. He wants Bukhari. He wants Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh. This is, shows us the status of Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayh and his connection to Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grant us tawfiq and grant us understanding of the words of Allah Azza wa Jal and the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka.